Hi friends, it's Miss Tori. I hope you're having a great day. Today we are going to read this book, Curious George and the Dump Truck. So here we have Curious George and our big dump truck behind him. This is George. He lived with his friend, the man in the yellow hat. He was a good little monkey and always very curious. This morning, George was playing with his toys when he heard a funny noise outside his window. It sounded like a quack. George was curious. What could it be quacking underneath his window? It was a duck, of course. Then George heard another quack and another. Why, it was not just one duck. It was a mother duck and 5 small ducklings. Ducklings were something new to George. How funny they were. He watched the ducklings waddle after their mother. Where were they going? George was not curious for long. Soon he was waddling after Mother Duck too. Now he could see where they were going. The ducks waddled all the way to the park. George loved the park. Today he saw children flying kites and gardeners planting trees by the pond. Then George saw something he had never seen in the park before. What do you think it is? Let's see. I see this yellow dump truck over here. I wonder if that's it. It was a dump truck, and it was big. In fact, George was not even as tall as one wheel. George forgot about the ducklings and stopped to look. It would be fun to sit in such a big truck, thought George. No one was inside the truck, and the windows were wide open. George could not resist. Do you think this is a good idea? I don't know. He was too small. It was only for something to climb on. Would this make a good step for a monkey? It did. Now George could see out the window. He saw grass and trees and a family eating a picnic. Suddenly George heard a low rumbling sound. Was it his stomach rumbling? He wondered. It had been a long time since breakfast. But the rumbling was not coming from George's stomach. It was coming from the back of the truck. George was curious. He climbed out the window. Then, like only a monkey could, he swung up to the top of the truck. Now he could take a look. He saw the truck was filled with dirt. George was excited. What could be better than a truck filled with dirt? George jumped right in the middle of it. Sitting on top of the dirt, George felt the truck began to tilt. It tilted higher and higher, and the dirt began to slide. It was sliding right into the pond, and George slid with it. George was having fun. But the pile in the pond got bigger and bigger and bigger, and soon the fun was gone. Just then the gardeners came back from lunch and stood with their mouths wide open. They saw the empty dump truck, the pile of dirt in the pond, and a very muddy monkey. They knew just what had happened. But before they could say a word, George heard a familiar sound. He heard more quacking. The gardeners heard it too. Then he heard people laughing. "Look," said a girl, "the ducks have their own island." Indeed they did. The pile of dirt made an island in the pond. The mother duck and her ducklings were waddling right on top. George was sorry he had made such a big mess, but the gardeners didn't seem to mind. "We are planting more trees and flowers to make the park nicer for people," said one of the gardeners, "but you've made the park nice for the ducks too." Later, a small crowd gathered at the pond. "Would you like to help feed the ducks?" asked the girl to George. George was delighted. Soon, everyone was enjoying the park more than ever before, including the ducks, who were just the happiest in all in their new home. The end. So George ended up making a nice new home for all the ducks. I hope you enjoyed this book. We'll see you later, friends. Bye-bye. Mwah.